Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric from SnapStream. Thank you so much for being on today's call. I really appreciate it. We're really excited to show you all the brand new features that we've added in SnapStream 8.0. We're going to get started here in just a few seconds, but I do want to let you know a few things before we get going. First, most of the things that I'm going to be demoing here today are a part of SnapStream 8.0, our newest release that we just came out with last week. If you look in your chat window on the GoToWebinar application, I've put a link in there that says starts with support SnapStream. If you want to set up a time to get your system upgraded, you can go ahead and click on that link, choose a time that works well for you, and get your system upgraded to SnapStream 8.0. It's an easy process. It is included. There's no additional cost. It is part of your support package, all the upgrades to your system. So yeah, you can go ahead and hit that support SnapStream link and schedule a time to get upgraded to 8.0. Most of the features that I'm going to show you are going to be only available in the 8.0 release of our software. A few other things before we get going here is that you can absolutely ask any questions you have during the session in the SnapStream, GoToWebinar application that you see. There's a chat window as well as a questions window. You can ask any questions you have in either window. We have our sales staff standing by if you have any questions regarding that. We also have someone from our support department standing by. I think many of you have met Daniel in the past, who can actually answer any questions that are specific to your actual instance. So if you have any questions about how you would upgrade to 8.0 or do some recording in H.264, which is what we're going to be talking about here in a moment, Daniel is on the line and can answer any questions you have that are specific to that. Last thing here is we are recording this webinar, so it is going to be available on our website once the webinar has been completed. I'd be happy to also email it to you if you'd like that link. We'll email that out once the session has been completed. So, for those of you who I haven't met in the past, my name is Eric Cohn. I'm the Customer Success Specialist here at SnapStream. I'm really excited you guys are on the call today. This is going to be, and I'll start off right off the bat and tell you, this is probably going to be a short webinar, but it is some of the biggest changes we've made to the software in a very long time that I'm going to be covering here today. A lot of these features that we've added to the software come directly from our customers as customer feature requests and from conversations that we've had with our customers. These are some of the things that we hear time after time when we're going and meeting with our customers. Some of the things that we've been asked about, we've implemented into the software. As I said, many of the features I'm going to be demoing require recording in H.264 transport streams, which some of you are doing and some of you are not. We'll talk about that here more in just a little bit. But if you have any questions about whether your system is currently recording in H.264 or what you would need to do to have your SnapStream recording in H.264, you can again ask those questions, and we'd be happy to let you know what that's going to entail. So we're going to dive right into it here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about straight off the bat is something that we're really excited about. As it says, goodbye browser plugin. With SnapStream 8.0, we're getting rid of the browser plugin that you've been required to install to use the SnapStream on your computer. We're really excited because essentially, to steal a phrase from Apple, it just works for anyone in your organization and across all their browsers and devices. It's going to work on your Windows, Macs, iPads, iPhones, Chromebooks, Android phones and tablets, essentially everything without having to install a plugin. Now, you do need to record in H.264. Many of you who have an older system are recording in MPEG-2 and may need to make some changes to your system to record in H.264. Some of you who have a newer system or who are using cloud system, for instance, are already recording in H.264, and it's going to be a fairly seamless changeover. For anyone who's not recording in H.264, we have a solution for you, which is our SnapStream Encoder. Our SnapStream Encoder takes in whatever your TV source is and it connects to your SnapStream DVR and makes an IP feed of your TV stream. Each SnapStream encoder can simultaneously, as it says, encode 4 inputs, and we have variations to take in essentially whatever your TV source is. It shows you on the next page here essentially what this looks like. This is not going to be a very large stretch from what you have now. The only big change is that the encoder is going to go in between your TV source and your network. It's going to create an IP feed of the TV source, and then it's going to be fed directly into your DVR over the network. And as I had said earlier, we can take in pretty much whatever your TV source is, whether it's a cable box, an antenna feed, a QAM signal, or an analog signal. We can even take in SDI feeds directly into the SnapStream encoder and encode them into an IP feed in H.264. So for those of you who don't, as I said, record in H.264, we do have options for you. If your system can handle it, we can either implement the encoder or make some other changes to make sure you're recording in H.264. Again, if you have any questions about whether your system can handle H.264 encoding, please let me know now. I do see a couple of questions that have come in that said they don't see the link. I think it's I'm going to repost that here now to schedule your upgrade here in the chat window. Let me make sure that posts here. Give me just a second. Make sure that posted. Yep, there we go. So that link's back in the chat window. If you need to go to that link and make an appointment, you can do that now. So that being said, that's how we're going to get H.264 if we don't already into SnapStream. One of the other really exciting things about recording in H.264 is something I'm very excited about, is that Chrome is back. This is something that I heard from a lot from our customers, and I'm particularly excited about because I prefer to use Chrome myself. With an H.264, you can with an H.264 feed, you can now use Google Chrome. As I said earlier, there's any number of different ways you can record, or you can play back that content in whatever you want to. But I'm particularly excited about Google Chrome, and I think some of you are as well. We also have a really cool option with the new release. Many of you are doing H.264 transcodes on the clips that you're creating. That's one of the workflows that we see the most. We see a transcode workflow to transcode content from the MPEG to an MP4. Now, when you're recording in H.264, we have the option to replace those clip transcode workflows with an automatic conversion directly to MP4. So for those of you who are doing H.264 recording, essentially it automatically will switch it over to an MP4 once you've made that clip, and then you don't have to worry about any sort of transcoding or anything at all. The really exciting thing about this is it actually is going to save you a lot of time getting content directly onto the web or into your video editing system or whatever it might be. It's going to cut it essentially in half in most instances because it's not going to have to do that transcode workflow that many of you have set up on your SnapStreams. It's just going to change it over automatically for you, doing rewrap it into an MP4. Finally, excuse me, a couple more things here. We also have had many requests for frame accurate clipping, which is something we've added now in 8.0. Frame accurate clipping is going to give you a higher precision clipping that is accurate to the frame start points and end points in that you're making in SnapStream. So when you make that start point and you make that end point, when your clip has been created, it's frame accurate to those endpoints, or start point and end point. Something that I've heard from quite a bit. I hope you're excited about it. I know I am as well. Now, the last thing that I want to show you here before we actually dive into the software is something that I think is going to be a big feature as we roll it out to our users, is that we now have lineup-based permissions. So with SnapStream 8.0, you can ensure that your users are only accessing the channels that they need. For instance, Is it possible that not everyone at your organization needs to be watching ESPN? Probably. So you have the capability to say, you know what, I only want this group of people, or no one, for instance, is allowed to watch ESPN. You can set your restrictions on the channels as you need for your users using lineup-based permissions. If you have any questions about anything I've shown you this far, please go ahead and ask us now. We have our support team standing by to answer any questions about anything that I've shown you up until now, or about how you might implement H.264 recording in your SnapStream. So I'm going to jump over to the actual software here, and we're going to take a look at some of the things that I've talked about thus far. Right off the bat, I'm going to show you in the library here that all my recordings, and I'm recording 8 channels here on my SnapStream, I'm recording H.264 transport streams. For those of you who are using cloud and more recent systems, you might already be recording an H.264 transport streams. You may, if you have an older system, it's probably recording an MPEG-2 transport streams. Now, you can see if I click on any one of these, we'll go into this show about ice cream sounds interesting. If I go right into it, it looks exactly the same. There's no real difference. The only thing that will look any different is if I hit pause, you kind of get that standardized pause little button here. Besides that, everything is going to look exactly the same. The picture looks absolutely great, and it's going to be essentially the same as before. Now we are recording, as I said, an H.264 transport stream. Now, if I make, by the way, make a start point and I make an end point in H.264, when I clip it out, it is going to be frame accurate exactly to those start points and end points. So we'll go ahead and clip that out. It's going to get the pop-up the same as it always does, and I know many of you are very familiar with this process. It is clipping it. And you should see it in just a moment. As soon as that clipping is done, it's going to say remuxing ice cream to MP4. That's just that rewrapping to make that transport stream into an MP4. It's an incredibly quick process. There's no transcoding really involved in that. And if I come in here into my clip folder in just a moment, you'll see that the clip is already an MP4. So I didn't have to do any sort of transcoding. It auto rewrapped that into the MP4 that I wanted. So now, if I hit that download button, it's going to download on my desktop as an MP4. I didn't have to transcode it. I didn't have to do a transcode workflow, anything along those lines. It did it exactly as I wanted to. It also made that exact clip frame accurate to my start point and to my end point. If anybody has any questions about anything that I'm showing you, please go ahead and ask them now. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have there. And I see we do have some good questions coming in. Great. All right. A few more things that I'd love to show you here. That under the administrative panel, I will show you where that toggle is. It is under transcoding here on my administrative panel. I can come down here, and here's where my toggle to automatically convert H.264 to MP4 is. So if you're already recording in an H.264, if you know that you're already recording an H.264, you can toggle that, save it, and then you're going to automatically have that content as an MP4 once you've clipped it. If you're not certain, please go ahead and ask. We'd be happy to let you know whether your system is already recording an H.264, and if it's not, we can talk to you about what your options are to make sure you're recording an H.264. Finally, under the admin panel under guide here is again where I can set up my guide for lineup security. If I come in here, I can take a look at my lineup that I have, and here's where I'm going to set up my security access. I have the capability to say I want it to be a certain group, for instance. If I just wanted the schedulers group to have access, I could do that. Or I could even say, you know what, I don't want Eric, myself, to have access to this lineup. I could do that as specifically as I need to be right here. So you have the option to set your access to those lineups in a really nice way that we didn't have the option available to before. Another feature that we've just added that hasn't been talked about in the past is that I have the option now to come in here, and if I have multiple clips that I need to download, let's say I need to download all 4 of these clips, 1, 2, 3, 4. Before, I would have to actually individually download each one, either by clicking the download button here or saying more actions and then download. But now I have the option to include as many as I need here and then hit the download button. And what it's going to actually do is it's going to give me a zip file of all the different individual clips that I've requested be downloaded. It's going to download all 4 of those at the same time, so I can knock out a bunch of different tasks all at the same time, doing it in that way. Last thing that I'd love to show you here is under our administrative panel, once again, we have the option for the first time under email to set a support, to add or replace the support email address that's currently in your SnapStream. So in 7.0 and in our release last year, we included the option to actually submit a ticket via the SnapStream interface. So I could submit a support ticket right here. That's going to go directly into the support queue in our support department. It's great. Obviously, that's great. Sometimes we want you may want to be the front lines before you reach out to support, and in that case, we've now given you the option to actually say, you know what, I want any support emails that are coming via the SnapStream software to go to me, or maybe I want to include myself in an email in the support email. So I could do that as well. So you can always have the option to make sure that you know if your users are having problems either first or at the same time as our support department. And again, that's under our administrative panel under email here. Have the option to add that right here. Besides that, that's pretty much everything that I was looking to show you today. We do have a couple of questions here that I want to make sure that I answer. Said, how many frames can you move ahead with the cursor when navigating? So it's a great question that's come up. When you're actually inside your recording, you have the option to move ahead individual frames. You can click ahead if you wanted to, but to be more specific, you can actually use your keyboard shortcuts. You can use your right arrow key and your left arrow key to move individual frames inside your recording. So right now, all I'm doing is I'm hitting the right arrow key, and it's moving individual frames forward. I can do the same thing backwards if I need to. I'm just hitting the back arrow key, and so you can move individual frames if you'd like to do that once you're paused in your recording. I hope that answers your question. Excellent. If there's any other questions, go ahead and ask them now. We are here to answer any questions that you have. I'm just looking here to see if there's any new additional questions. If you have any questions, we're going to be standing by, available to take any questions you have until all your questions have been answered. A few things that I want to wrap up with before we finalize our webinar here. I'm going to jump back into my slides. We did talk about this in advance, and I want to make sure I mention it. We are giving away t-shirts today. If you don't already have a SnapStream Made in Texas t-shirt, please go ahead and go to snapstream.com/shirt and sign up. We'd love to send you one of our SnapStream shirts so you can represent the shirt at your organization. We'd love for you guys to get those. So go ahead and send that in now. Also, as I was saying, we are going to be standing by to answer as many questions as you have about the actual SnapStream software or about adding H.264 play recordings into your SnapStream if you aren't doing that already. I really appreciate you being on the call today. I do see the questions that are coming in. If they haven't been answered yet, they will be answered here shortly. So please stay on and ask as many questions as you have about any of the features that we've shown you today. Again, my name is Eric Cohn. I work here at SnapStream in Houston, Texas. You can reach out to me with any questions that you have at eric@snapstream.com or in the question window here. Again, thank you so much for being on the call, and have a great day.